Welcome, everyone. Today we're talking about a topic that has a ton of impact on parents, entrepreneurs, people who are working in their 9-to-5s and they're trying to step into something more, people who are feeling stuck or frustrated, burnt out, overwhelmed, but they know they want to make that greater impact. They want to step into more, but they feel like, well, who am I to do that? Like, what have I accomplished? Like, I mean, I used to think that I had to have everything all figured out before I could step into this new version of myself, before I could help anybody. You know, I had to have maybe the perfect business, the perfect idea, strategy, the balanced family, the balanced finances, you know, no struggles inside of any kind. I thought that the credibility I was looking for was when I could sit there and be like, hey, I got across the finish line and here's how you can as well. But the truth is, something that I learned and I want to share with you so that you could take something from it, because I learned it the hard way, is that waiting for that like moment where you feel ready, like, man, that was just me sitting on the sidelines while other people like who actually needed the exact thing that I could provide them, the things I was learning, the value I could create right then, like they were drowning and I could have shared a lifeline with them and I wasn't. And so that's what we're talking about today as it pertains to like imposter syndrome, you know, but why you don't have to have everything finished to be helpful and make an impact, why your unfinished story, where you're at right now with its good times, bad times, failures, setbacks, wins, whatever you may call it, that's the very thing that someone else desperately needs right now. You know, think about it this way, like if there's a person who's drowning, you know, they like, if they're drowning, they don't need like the perfect lifeguard, you know, who's an Olympic medalist, who can, you know, has all these medals and can swim out there to save them. No, they just need someone who knows how to swim and is willing to reach out and help them. Because here's the thing, you're the only person that has your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, which means you are the only person who can make the impact that you can make right now. No one else can. And there are people waiting for you. I promise you, when you start to develop your gifts, superpowers, and giving them to other people, even if you're in that messy middle of your story, like the universe will create opportunities for you. You know, you'll live a more fulfilled life. You'll have better relationships. Now, if I pose it in a couple ways, maybe some questions that might frame this up really well for you, if any of this sounds familiar. Like, have you ever stopped yourself from sharing something? Like what you've learned because you thought like, once again, who am I to help? Or I'm still figuring this out myself. Or maybe like you've thought like, hey, I can't mentor or teach someone until I've made it, until I've gotten there. And right now it's too messy. I'm too behind, you know, or if I admit that I'm struggling with this thing, this happens a lot with business owners and entrepreneurs. Like if I admit I'm struggling, people will think I'm a fraud. Now, if any of that hits home, like, or hits close to you, or if you feel like it resonates with you, then listen to me here. Like, you are not a fraud. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not behind. Like, you're definitely not unqualified to be sharing things and creating impact for other people. You're just running up against that imposter syndrome that's there, you know. And it's the lie that says that your value only comes when you've arrived, you know, because you've made it. But the truth is, like, completely the opposite. People need you like the most. Like who need you the most out there. Like they don't need your decade from now highlight reel version. They need the real-time, honest, authentic version of you with what's actually helping move you forward with where you're at right now. Like maybe you're a parent thinking like, I can't encourage anyone because my kids melt down in the morning, you know, but another parent in the exact same chaos, like it doesn't need someone who has grown kids in a polished story. They sometimes just need someone to be like, hey, yeah, I'm there, or I've been there recently, and here's some of the things I'm doing that's helped me this week. You know, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't have to be the thing that you go present on a TED Talk stage. It's like, no, what are the lessons you've been learning as you've been running a business? Is an employee holding back because you're not in like a leadership role? Like, but you know, the new hires, the people that are coming in, like they don't need your MBA or executive like theory behind any of that. They just need fresh perspective because, you know, they need to know how to survive these first 3 to 6 months of the business. And once again, the point is like you're not ready, I guess. Like you're not ready. Like you're perfectly positioned because like you're not that far ahead of them. You still remember exactly what it feels like. You've got all those emotions, those ties, those connections that they're experiencing right now. And that makes you so much more valuable than someone who's forgotten about the struggle from years ago. You know, it's hard to listen to the billionaire talk about running a small business and give you advice on running a small business when they have billions of dollars at their disposal and they talk about spending money like crazy. It's really hard to be like, yeah, you can tell me how to run a business. Yeah, probably some great ideas, some great lessons learned, but if I could learn from the person who's close to where I'm at now, that's even better. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder. I'm the author of this book. It's called The GIVER Method. Everything we're covering today is going to be grounded in this book, all right? I highly recommend. Right now, I made it available on Amazon, where you can get it right now for anywhere from $2 to $10. get it before the prices go up. There's a link in the description right at the top. You can go to Amazon and get it, or you can just pause the video and open up your Amazon app and GIVER Method by Jake Talbert. Get yourself a copy. I highly recommend you do. Everything we're talking about is grounded in this, and I wrote everything in here grounded in the fact that, you know, I myself am like you. I've walked a similar path. I may just be a few steps ahead of you in many cases. You know, I'm a parent of 3. I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked in that corporate sea of cubicles. And so I know you can't just give up everything or burn everything down or go move to the woods to find yourself. Like, you don't have all the time in the world to put strategies into your life or change your schedule around completely. So everything in here is designed to fit within where you're at right now in the messy middle. So you can really start to develop your gifts and superpowers, create more impact, more value for people. You'll have better relationships, live a more fulfilled life. And once again, the universe creates opportunities for people who do that. So use the link in the description, get it before the prices go up. I know I felt this imposter syndrome thing for so many years. You know, I thought I need those perfect credentials, you know, and I waited for so long, like whether it was, you know, thinking I'm just a coach. I'm not a person who businesses could really, you know, turn to, you know, or I can't help people with family stuff because like my family life is a little messy. Like when I finally started sharing like what I was learning in real time, the messy stuff, the struggles in progress, like people, they connected with me way more. You know, they told me like that my honesty, my authenticity, like not my polish, like that's what helped them. You know, my unfinished story wasn't any sort of a weakness. It was actually the bridge that I needed for some genuine connection and to create impact right where I was, which really fueled me to like want to do more and to develop myself even more. And so I want to cover that with you today. I want to walk you through these 4 like ideas and shifts that you can do that are going to help you to like stop waiting until you feel ready and start helping exactly where you are. Discovering like your unfinished story will create so much more impact than a perfect one ever could. Because let's be real, like tired parent doesn't need the Pinterest perfect solution. Struggling entrepreneur doesn't need that billionaire advice. The stuck employee doesn't need more theory. You know, they need someone who's real, someone in the middle of it, someone figuring it out who's willing to share what actually happened, giving you those pro tips, those secrets that are happening. Once again, everything is in the book, The GIVER Method, you know, because once you actually understand your gifts don't require perfect conditions or circumstances, you know, to really use them every single day. Like, man, you stop waiting for permission to do things. You start showing up as who you really are, exactly where you are, and making massive impact in the people around you's lives and living a more fulfilled life. So once again, if you want to dive deeper, use the link in the description, get yourself a copy off Amazon. You can go to thegivermethod.com, learn more about our programs, some of our free resources, join our newsletter list. Go follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, linked in all the places and everything. If you want personal support, of course, we have our one-on-one coaching program. Right now, I've got 3 positions open. So if you want to use the link below, you can go check out the details. We have special pricing on there right now. Check out the one-on-one coaching. If it makes sense to book a call, let's book a call. Let's talk about what that could look like. And then, of course, like if you have any sort of a stage, podcast, event, community where, you know, people gather that you feel like a message like this would serve them, let's talk about how we could bring it to them in a really unique way. And of course, if you haven't already, you know, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell for notifications, like it, like the video, comment your thoughts along the way, all those sorts of things, all the YouTube things that they want us to do, right? All right, so we've already covered what this idea is of imposter syndrome and how it's looking, but let's get really tactical now. I want to get into these areas that you could really get tactical and start to change how you show up. Stop waiting for that permission and using what you've already got to make an impact. Cool? So the first one is like how to see that like what you've learned is already someone else's, like it's their lifeline, you know? So think of it this way, the principle or the idea is like the 5 steps behind you shift. Because once again, that's the trap that so many of us are going to fall into, is that we're focused on the mountain that we're trying to climb, that we've completely missed the ground that we've already covered. You know, we're looking at how far we still have to go, while someone who's maybe a few steps behind you, who's drowning in the very terrain that you just went through, like, man, you could figure out how to help them cross. And so this is about shifting like the way you look at it and realizing that you don't have to have all that decades of help. You know, you just need to do 1 step at a time, 2 steps at a time, like just be a little bit ahead, because that's exactly where people learn the best. I love a person who once said, like, you know, you don't have to be the top of your field to be an expert. You just have to be a few steps ahead of me and be willing to like teach me, and you're an expert to me. So like be that expert to people. You know, that can show up in so many ways for parents and entrepreneurs, for people like working away. Like there are fresh lessons that you could be teaching them that you've already made it through if you're just a few steps ahead. Now, the magic is like your perfect position, like right now you're perfectly positioned to help because you remember, you have the feelings, you know, the fear, the stress, the trial and error, like that's your credibility. You know, you're like, man, I just went through this and here's what actually helped. Story is worth so much more than like this highlight reel of someone who hasn't faced it in forever. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing, simple exercise. You're going to make a list of these like things I handle better now than I did 6 months ago. What do I do better now than I did 6 months ago? And don't think like we're not waiting for perfect victories or whatever. We're just writing down even the small shifts that happen. Maybe, you snap at your kids less. Maybe you've started saying no without apologizing. Maybe you finally contributed in the meetings without, staying quiet. Maybe you're setting boundaries around your time and schedule so that you can be present with the people you need to be around, whatever. And then whatever you do now, like you just take one and write like one or two short sentences about it. Hey, 6 months ago, I struggled with blank and felt blank. Like, how did it make you feel? Like, I struggled with this and this how it made me feel. Now I'm better. Like now I'm better at it. Like, I'm still working on it, but here's what's different. Here's what's better. Here's what I did. For example, like here's one that I wrote up that could work. Like, hey, 6 months ago, mornings, like getting my kids ready left me overwhelmed and defeated. And now I'm like, hey, I'm still working on it, but I'm preparing backpacks at night because it cuts the stress in half in the morning. Or hey, 6 months ago, I was terrified to put my rates out there when I was talking to people. Now, hey, I'm still learning to work through that, but like I've held these 3 pricing conversations, with clients, and 2 of the people said yes without any hesitation, and it made me build a lot of confidence by just getting it out there. Or hey, 6 months ago, I would be invisible in meetings. I tried to stay quiet. Now, I've spoken up a couple times this last month, and both times people like built on my ideas, and it led to some really cool things that happened. I mean, if you look at how that works, like you're honest that like, hey, you're still figuring it out. You don't have it all figured out, but you're like, hey, I'm proving that there's progress. And that honesty, like, hey, I don't have to have it all solved, but here's what's helping, is what creates so much credibility. And then the next step beyond that is like, for each challenge on your list, think of maybe 3 people who are maybe stuck in that place, who are people that maybe that could be stuck there. Write down their names. Write down a sentence about like what you wish someone had told you when you were there, because that could become their action plan. It could be your chance to go help them in the moment that they're at right now. Because here's the deal. If you don't do this, your brain will keep convincing you that nothing you've learned is any sort of a big deal. And you keep dismissing your progress while obsessing over how far you have to go. Like, but when you just start to name it, like, gosh, this is even any little progress I've made, you name it. When you match it with like the people who need it, like imposter syndrome loses its grip against you. You don't have to be everyone's expert. You just need to be someone's guide along the way. When you're willing to show up and share in the middle, like still learning and growing, you become more relatable and trustworthy, because people don't connect with perfect, they connect with real. And gosh, man, your recent struggles, the things you've gone through, your failures, setbacks, plus like any current progress, plus your willingness to help, like that's not a half-baked story. That's someone else's breakthrough waiting to happen. And that takes us into the second area, why your in-progress journey is what they need. So once again, this is like, what's the lifeline here? It's a Lifeline Principle. Like they're dialing you in. Once again, I mentioned earlier, like when someone's drowning, they don't need the Olympic swimmer with all the medals and flawless strokes to come save them. They just need someone who knows how to swim, to float, who remembers what it feels like to be underwater, and who's willing to reach their hand out and help. That shift right there, like your story doesn't have to be like finished for life-giving, like saving, life-changing suggestions, ideas, strategies for someone else. Your current struggles plus your unique perspectives plus your willingness to help equals someone else's breakthrough. Once again, you don't have to be standing on the dry shore with a certificate in your hand. You should be willing to say like, hey, I know the struggle. I found a way to keep my head above the water, and I can show you what's helping me right now. And that's like exactly what imposter syndrome, like it's never going to tell you. It whispers like, hey, wait until like, we haven't mastered this yet. You can't do that. You can't guide anyone. Who are you to think this? But the truth is, like, the exhausted parent doesn't need polished adult kid examples. They need someone who's in the middle of the chaos. The entrepreneur sweating over cash flow doesn't need advice from someone who hasn't had bills in years. They need someone who found a way to extend their runway and can show them how, and knows those struggles and feelings that they're experiencing in the markets right now. So here's the really practical way to do this, bring this to life. You're going to write out 3 scenarios using this sort of a structure. Like, hey, I remember when I was drowning with blank, and I'm not completely on the shore yet, but I learned, here's what I could do. Someone going under the same sort of struggle needs to know this thing. I wish I would have heard back then. I remember drowning about whether my business idea would work. And I'm not all the way off the shore. Like, I'm not all the way on the shore yet, but I learned that, like, hey, I'm going to test ideas cheaply, have small offers, customer conversations. Like, before I go all in, someone else panicking about viability Like they need to know that you don't have to bet the whole farm. You can do small tests at first. Like it's just simple things like that. Once you have 3 of these things, like these 3 statements or whatever, practice saying them out loud, even to yourself. Notice how your language shifts, like from not like, hey, I'm not qualified to, I know exactly, like I know this struggle. I've been there, I've walked this path. Here's what's helping me. And so that opens so many doors for you. Like then go further. Think of like the real person for each scenario. And once again, don't overthink it. Someone you know who's where you were, and send them a quick and honest message of like, hey, I know what you're going through. I know you're going through this challenge, and I've been there. I'm figuring it out myself, but here's something that's been helping me. If you want to talk, I'm here for you. Like, man, that's going to have so much impact. Like that's all you have to do. It's not some massive be on stage, let me present my TED talk, no perfect plan, just real raw help authentically with where you are right now. This is the moment where you're not ready flips to exactly what someone else needs. When you're willing to share what's helping you even from the middle, it turns imposter syndrome into the evidence of credibility. There's tons of data about like how the neuroscience behind this works. Like confidence doesn't come first, action does. Every time that you reach back and help where you were, you're actually building like a track record for your brain, like that it can't deny. You're stacking the proof that your value doesn't come from any sort of perfection. It comes from honesty and courage. People who need you, and need you the most, they're not looking for the flawless expert. They're looking for someone who gets it because they've been there, they've walked that path, that same as them similarly. Now there's like the 5-second rule. Now this is all about like how you act. So third area is like, gosh, you have to act before the doubt talks you out of it. So that 5-second rule, Mel Robbins has a great book about 5-second rule, tons of amazing things there. But like, let's say that you're like, one of the sneaky areas people get stuck, is that they feel the nudge to help. They're like, man, I should text Katie about her career transition. I should text, so-and-so. I should share what's been working with stress. I should speak up in the meeting. And then 5 seconds later, your brain jumps in with all these reasons why you shouldn't. It creates doubt. Why you're not ready. Who am I to help? I don't have it figured out. What are they going to think if I'm a fraud? Like all that stuff. That small gap, those 5 seconds, that space between impulse and overthinking is like, it's everything. Tons of data out there, neuroscience data and everything that shows that you've got about 5 seconds before fear will hijack the steering wheel. And if you can move inside that window, literally taking one small action before the doubt script starts, like you interrupt the cycle and you start building the kind of confidence that only comes in action. Now, let me be clear, this isn't about, I don't want you to be reckless in any way. It's not about pretending that you have the answers. It's just about trusting that first instinct that you have is usually right. You notice someone struggling because you recognize the terrain. You walked it. You recognize, that recognition, it's real. And then doubt follows. That's your brain's alarm system trying to keep you safe from rejection. And so we need to work past that. So here's what you want to do. Start paying attention to your, I should thoughts. And they pop up probably more than you realize. Like, hey, I should comment on that post about parenting. I just learned something that could help. I should reach out to that new coworker. I remember the overwhelm. Hey, I should check in with Mike. His struggles sound exactly like where I was last year. Whatever it is, just you pay attention to them. When are those I shoulds popping up? And the practice is that the second you feel the nudge to count, you do the Mel Robbins 5-second rule. You count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And before you hit 0, don't edit, don't polish, don't wait with confidence. Just act, do something. I absolutely love her principle here, and that's why I'm including it as a part of this. It makes massive change when you do that. You open your phone, you type that first line, hey, Katie, I've been where you are, blah, 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 hit send in the meeting. Hey, I'm not the expert here, but here's what's worked when I face similar problem, or shoot the quick message, hey, I saw what you shared, hey, I've been there, and here's the thing that helped me. The key is about movement, especially before the doubt kicks in. If you wait, your brain will talk you out of it every time, but if you move, even imperfectly in any sort of way, you create the evidence that's so much more valuable. You lock in, you lock this in a ton when you actually track what you're doing over a couple of weeks. You keep a list, a tally, or whatever of every time you moved in those first couple seconds, when it helped someone, and you mark it. Every time that you froze or stayed silent, you mark that. And at the end, you look at the results. Did your worst fears ever actually happen? Or did the moments that lead to gratitude or connection or relief from the other side because you actually stepped in and did that? And so, you retrain your brain by doing that. Every act of hey, I helped before, I helped before I felt ready or before I was there, it rewires your belief in yourself. And over time, you notice that the window gets bigger before doubt kicks in. You have more courage, more confidence, all of that starts to show up faster because confidence, waiting for confidence, that's actually the trap. Confidence will never show up before you take action. You have these, what they call mastery experiences. You know, that the more you survive, like the more that you survive certain things, some things just feel scary. The more your brain realizes like, okay, well, hold on, I can survive this thing. Well, now I can survive the next thing. Like you move past the scary thoughts. You know, the person who needs you doesn't need your 5 years from now version. They need the real in progress, like with the gifts and superpowers you have right now that you can apply. So use that 5-second rule. You know, it's the lifeline that people need, and it's everything to them. And then the fourth and final one is like why your real-time honesty creates more impact than the polished version. Like, so share what's helping you right now in the moment. Because most people think helping means like presenting that polished success story or wait until they have it figured out. But once again, people don't connect with perfection, they connect with honesty. And what helps them the most isn't what you solved years ago, it's what you're figuring out right now. So if you think about it, the parent overwhelmed by bedtime chaos, like they just need some advice from someone whose kids like are just a little bit older, who remember what those nights feel like. You know, they need the person in the trenches, you know, who's like, hey, here's what's helping us this week. Once again, the power of real-time sharing, like your credibility isn't about showing up as finished, you know, or polished or put, you know, all put together. Like it's showing up in the progress, the still learning, still growing version. You know, that's the one people actually trust. And so here's like the shift. Here's the idea you want to think about. Like, stop thinking of yourself as like a teacher with all the answers. That's not who you are. Start thinking of yourself as like you're the fellow traveler, and you're pulling out your map and saying like, hey, this is what's helping me right now. Maybe if I look back, there might be some people who this could help too. You know, just simple, like think of a simple sentence like, until this starts to become second nature. Like, think of it this way. Like, I don't have to have it all figured out, but here's one thing that's helping me that could help someone else. And if you notice, like, what it starts to do is it's humble, but it's specific. It gives other people permission to still be figuring things out too. You know, so like as a parent, like, hey, I don't have mornings completely solved, but laying out backpacks and clothes the night before, it's cutting the stress in half. And hey, I don't have all the cash flow mastered, but like 15-minute like check every Monday is helping me not be blindsided. Or, you know, hey, I'm still learning to speak up, but writing my point down before meetings, it really helps me when I want to go share it. Once again, they're not grand answers. They're not crazy. They're simple human insights, but that's why they land. That's why they connect with people. And if you want to make it practical, like the what's helping me this week list, like every Sunday, jot down like a challenge that you're handling a little bit better than you did last week. You know, what's helping? What's someone else who might need that insight? And then actually share it. Send a text, a quick conversation, a social post, whatever. Over time, this becomes your playbook. You'll notice the themes that you know, you see your own growth, and you build this rhythm of helping in ways that just feel natural and authentic to you. Because like waiting until you're finished, it keeps people silent for way too long. You know, sharing in real time, it not only helps others, but it accelerates your own growth. It really starts to build you faster, and you get more excited. When you explain what's working right now, you reinforce it to yourself. You deepen your own learning, and you start to see your value in action. Like the people like that are going to need you the most, they don't need that expert on the pedestal. You know, they just need you today. Like not 5 years from now. Like they need your current lessons, like the lifelines that we were talking about. Like that's what they're waiting for. You're the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences. They're waiting for you to step in and be able to make that impact. You know, we've walked through a lot on this video. You know, you saw that you don't need to have everything figured out to help someone. You don't need to be the Olympic medalist to save the person who's drowning. They just need someone who can swim and willing to reach out that hand. You know, that's it. That's you. Just using your gifts and superpowers right where you are right now. You know, if you do things like build out that 5 steps behind you list, you're looking for proof that you're not, it's not that you're unqualified. You're actually like perfectly positioned to help people around you. You know, you look at the lifeguard principles, Lifeline Principles, which 5-second window we talked about, like all of those sort of things, like they all make a difference. Now you discover like freedom starts to show up because you're leading from like, hey, here's what's helping me today. You know, not here's polished, my polished story from 10 years ago. Now, the part I don't want you to miss, somebody is waiting right now. Not someday, like not when they feel ready, like today, like with the exact lesson that maybe you picked up yesterday, last week, last month, whatever. Like the exhausted parent, they need the advice. The entrepreneur is looking for someone who can be a guide for them. The employee who's feeling invisible needs someone to help step in and show them the light, show them the way. You know, your unfinished story isn't a liability, it's your advantage. It's what's real and relatable and trustworthy. People don't connect with the perfect, they want the human. They connect with someone who's still like in the middle of it, but willing to actually share what's working. Not trying to be like, oh, I don't want people to figure out that I don't have it all figured out. I don't want people to think I'm a fraud. No, just start doing things. And so that's the challenge. Take some action today. You don't have to do everything. Just pick one thing we talked about. Pick a person from your list to message, and don't overthink it. Just say, hey, I've been where you are. I don't have it all figured out, but here's what's helping me. If you want to talk more, I'm here. That's it. Just send that. Or if you want, if that feels too big, start even smaller. Share one real-time lesson with a friend or a coworker or in a small online group, whatever. Just lead out with that. Just start that, because here's the truth. People who are drowning can't wait for you to feel ready. They need your hand right now. And the moment that you stop waiting for permission and start helping them from where you are, you'll see it. You'll see it in yourself. You'll see that what you thought disqualified you actually is the exact thing that makes you valuable. Now, if you want to dive deeper into these topics and these principles, that's where, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, get yourself a copy of the GIVER method. Right now, I've got the link down in the description to get it on Amazon. You can get it for as little $2 to $10. And it will change your life. You could be living a completely different life in the next few months by going and getting this. Like I say, go get yourself a copy. You can go to givermethod.com, join the newsletter list, see the other ways that we help people. But if you want hands-on support, like I said, right now we have a special going on our one-on-one coaching program. We're only looking for 2-3 people. If you want someone who's walked the same path as you to kind of step in and help give you guidance, then check out the coaching link below. And then if you have a stage, a podcast, a platform, an event, whatever, where people gather that this message would resonate with, then I'd love to talk about how we could bring it to them. Let's talk about how we could really make that happen. Now, make sure, of course, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, like the video, comment what landed for you today. Remember this big thing. You're not ready. You're not ready. I keep saying that. You're ready enough. You're ready right now. People are waiting for you in your unfinished story right now with your failures, your setbacks, to the imposter syndrome. They need you because you're the only person that has your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences. Failures, setbacks, relationships, whatever. You're the only person that has that combination, and there are people who are waiting. They're drowning, and they're waiting for you to just put your hand out and start helping them. I promise you, when you do, oh my gosh, you're going to grow faster. You're going to live a more fulfilled life, have better relationships, and the universe will always pay you back with opportunities. I promise you that. Check out the other videos on the channel. Hopefully there's things that will resonate with you. Hopefully there's tons of stuff that you can walk away with. And outside of that, we'll catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.